Good afternoon and welcome. And I guess it looks like the algorithm we were using to predict when we will start didn't work that well. So we do need human in the loop to be able to, make the calls, get the right people on the stage and everything going. So anyways, I'm Divya. I am an engineering director at Adobe basically managing their ML platform and leading the effort to democratize AI. And one of the questions when I was here came up was like, you're from Adobe and you're going to be talking about the challenges for startups. So how's that? I was like, okay. So maybe I need to add another slide just so that people know why this is a topic that I really worry about and think about and why I wanted to talk about it. So startup is not something different. I have been part of the startup ecosystem for a long time. Currently also I'm advising a few startups which are in the AI space, but I also did my own startup and that was acquired by Box, and which was the fundamental portion that led to the machine learning platform at Box, and I was leading the effort there. And at that time, Box was still a startup. It hadn't gone IPO. So I guess that was another form of startup experience. And then after Box, I also led an innovation garage for Tyco. And I don't know how many of you guys know Tyco, but it's a name for security and, like fire alarms and a lot of different businesses that they are part of. So the job over there was really starting a lot of different businesses in AI to see how can they make and grow at a large scale. And then finally, now I'm at Adobe. So I do have a good relationship and an understanding of what the challenges are when you're starting something new in this particular space. So yes, I am there, but today's talk is really not representing Adobe or what we are doing there, but more from my experiences as part of the startup community and what I saw there. So, and also before I start, I think I want to say that I want to keep this session more interactive because it's after lunch. I don't want to just throw in a lot of data and, technical terms, but more like, stories and what your experience have been and how I have seen things are happening. So I think we all know that we are in the midst of this AI gold rush. Everybody knows that there are so many things are happening. Everybody wants to have a little bit, piece of the pie. And I think the reason why I like to call it gold rush is because it's not where the people who are actually digging and mining are going to do something great. They are part of it, but the things around it are growing and becoming pretty big. So like for gold rush, it was not really the gold miners who made a lot of money or did big, but also the other industries, also the merchants, the restaurants, the transportation, and everything else grew with it. And the same we are seeing even for AI, that it's not just the algorithms and models that is coming into this space, but the innovation is happening all throughout the stack. So we are seeing hardware companies again becoming pretty innovative in bringing up new things to deal with that kind of a data and scale and do something completely different, the performance that we would like to do. So the same goes with the data management or the storage. How do we deal with that kind of a requirement is really making a big change in the overall stack and how people are thinking about it. So it's really, and that's why it's so exciting because it's not limited to, very technical mathematical details, but it's also all around it that we need to really make it a business, to take it to a place where it can be used and it can be, make a difference in everybody's. And I like this graph I have put in just to show that it's there is a lot of money that is going into this AI space, and everybody wants to therefore, be part. And sometimes I feel like startups which are not really an AI an ML startup also wants to claim that they are AI ML startups. And so what I tell them most of the time is that yes, you want to be part of it, but there are a lot of challenges. And I want to make sure that we understand that starting something in AI just because we should do it and it's a hype and it's cool to do something in AI is not that easy. The first thing comes with the problem complexity. So it is a difficult problem, and yes, there are a lot of tools out there, but I think the biggest challenge that we have to see is how do we bring uniqueness? Because there are so many big companies with so many data and so much of talent that how do you compete against that? How do you, if you are just solving image recognition in a much better way or a faster way, will that really give you the edge to make your business successful? You have to figure out what is your uniqueness. The domain knowledge becomes very important in this thing, because I think that is where from the broader AI or solving a general problem, when you focus it towards one point solution and you can really deliver something which is meaningful for the people, and that something that people can use it and you can show the value. So thinking that how do I bring that particular uniqueness is very important. And I'll give you an example. So a lot of people are doing object detection, right? They are doing a lot of object detection. They can also detect all your clothes, and a lot of retail customers will be very happy if I can figure out that, okay, I'm looking for a red shirt and I can do that. But now, yes, you can solve that problem and it will be useful. But now if you bring in a different kind of an angle, suppose you bring in, so one of the companies that I work advice with is Lily, and they are bringing in an emotional factor over here. Most of their staff actually has designers who know how people, think about it, how people feel about the clothes, rather than just the image and the structure, and then bringing a very different point of view into that algorithm and into their solution makes them very unique and give them a very good edge to be able to prove their uniqueness. So those are the kind of things that the domain that you are in can really bring. Another example I can give you, so video summarization. It's a very challenging problem, and people solve it from various different technical things, that whether we should use this or that. But now if you think about why do you use video summarization? What is the use case that you're trying to solve? Suppose you're trying to do summarization because you want to give a sneak peek of your movie in different countries. Now, every country actually has different laws, and now, can it, based on where it is getting viewed, really summarize based on that extra context and extra information, the domain information that gets in? That will give you a little bit of an edge rather than solving it in a general purpose. So really having that unique value, bringing that uniqueness into your solution is something which is very challenging and something to think about. The second thing is obviously the resources, and I think we all know about the data and the challenges with the data. Data normally is biased because you only get one kind of the data and you forget about everything else. And also, how do you get access to that data? All the privacy rules, and which are there for a good reason. So I don't disagree with any of those. But having that access, having a system where you can actually make it better is a way to think about it. Because any of the big companies, Google, Facebook, they already have so much data that if you're really competing into finding that general data, it will be very hard for you to create your value and see how you are different from that. Other than data, I think compute itself is very challenging. It looks like that it is available everywhere and I can just go to Amazon and get GPU machines, or I can get the TPUs. And yes, you can, but really they are very costly. And when you are doing an experiment or a POC, you can get one machine or two machines and you can do a lot of stuff and you feel like, yes, I can make this happen. But the moment you make it into a business and you have to scale out and you have to do it over and over and over again, because, algorithms have to be modified and made better and get more data, it is pretty expensive. So making sure that you have that kind of an capital to support your solution? How much do you need it? What is the minimum that you can do? And how will you grow and scale as you have more customers? All of that is very important along with the data. And talent, I guess all of you know, we can see the number of people, but well, it is pretty nice to see so many people in AI together. But in general, even if we look at a bigger percentage, then we will say that we are still very short in these resources, which might change after a few years, but right now it will really is something, especially for a startup when they are competing against the big benefits and the people who are coming out of school, to attract them to be a part of this, to really believe in their mission and solution and to get there. So it's not an easy problem to solve. And along with this, I think the other thing that I've seen startups in AI struggling is with the experimentation and the fuzzy results of this whole space. I think the mantra around startup is to be lean, to do quick experiments, to fail fast and learn fast and do these things again and again to find the right fit, pivot it to the right customers, to what their needs are. But AI in general, if you come up with an algorithm and you take it out, first of all, you have to build this whole infrastructure to collect the data, to see how well you're doing. And you cannot get that information, at least if you are serious enough, in 1 week. Like, things change so much. They vary so much over a period of time that you have to really put it out for some time before you can make those assumptions. You can see how it's failing. Where else can you tune it? Where else the data is missing? So having that kind of a feedback loop and really understanding the problem and not being able to do those experiments quickly is something. It's not that you cannot do it, but something that you have to do it early on. And you have to really, think about it and make sure that you are planning accordingly. So then we said that AI is going to be there. It's doing a lot of different innovation. And then we said that, but it is very difficult and it's very challenging. So then should we not do it? I guess that, of course, we are going to do it, right? Like, that's what, there is no way. Like, there's so much of things and innovation coming out in this space. And there are a lot of different solutions. And what I'm going to talk today is just a blip in there. But I think that was a good acronym that put up the 4 things that I think are very important. So I'll just double click on these and then go deeper into what I mean by each of them. Any questions so far? So I think what we have seen so far in AI is the companies are coming from different, really different waves. So few of the companies are totally technology focused. They are looking at coming up with completely new and the new generation technology like DeepMind, OpenAI, all their main focus is to figure out what is the best algorithm for solving a difficult problem. Then there are companies that are coming out in infrastructure, and then there is applied AI. And today I really want to focus only on the applied AI companies and not on the others. And for those, I think the biggest question to ask is, do I really need AI ML? What I've seen many a times happening is when people are trying to automate certain process, and just to, again, going back to my point earlier, just to make it look cooler or just to use those words, people will somehow try to just add AI as part of it. Yes, I'm reading from the forms, but I should add AI. So let me put NLP to understand the forms better. Do you really need that? Like, it might be that there is a valid reason for that, but don't do it unless you have really questioned if you need AI or ML in there. Another example I'll give you, and this is very recent from yesterday. We were having a big financial planning meeting for 2019, and so many things and so many numbers and like really forecasting on what our, expenses will be, what is our ROI could. And then somebody said, why can't we just use machine learning to, forecast all of this thing? Come on, Divya, what are you doing sitting here for hours? Shouldn't you create an algorithm? And I was thinking about it and I was like, there is only a part of it that you can really focus, but things have changed so much. Our strategy has changed. Our customers have changed. Our competitors have changed. The way we are going to be, there are so many variables. The data, there is only a very little part that the historical data can give me. So when everything around me is changing, machine learning, the thing that it is going to give me will really not be usable for me. I do need to have the hue. So it's very easy to think, difficult problem. Okay, if it is not an easy problem, it's a difficult problem. Let's use machine learning. But even in that case, you have to think twice. Is machine learning going to solve it? If not, what part it is going to solve it? And is that really how much of a help I'm going to get it? Which basically brings to this another thing. Sometimes it is right that technology-wise, it may be the best way to solve the problem. But what about the ROI? Will I actually get the benefits for the cost and the amount of resources that I am putting in? Another example. I like to give examples because it just makes it easier for me to say what I'm trying to convey. And this is from one of the friends I was talking to, and I was saying, drones, they are the best thing for, especially you can, for figuring out whether the electrical poles need maintenance or not. You can just send them up, they can take pictures, it looks so cool. Why wouldn't you do it? It just seems so obvious. And then basically the person said that, really, do you think it is that easy? So first of all, how many poles can it do before getting discharged? How many times it will have to come back? You have to charge it again. The pictures that it takes are completely random. Then you have to have another person who sort through those pictures to figure out what are the important ones, then go to that problem and then figure it out. Instead of having that so many drones which are already very expensive that I have put in, I have to have a person to make sure that they are maintained and they are taken care of. I need to really train them on how to operate them because it's not that they are completely automatic because of the other policies. And if you put all the other costs around it, suddenly drones don't seem that interesting or the right solution because it looks like that. So really thinking through the end-to-end thing, not just from the technical or just from a very small side, is very important. Because I was saying, it's, why not? It would be the best thing. And suddenly after going through the whole cycle of thinking of what all it will actually need to get the same solution done, suddenly it's not the right technology. So really figuring out what is the business you're solving, what all will be needed to change and not just that immediate problem is very important. And that's how it also helps us to really bring that value and uniqueness into our problem. Because when we think through it, and this is actually very funny because I keep on saying that you ask this how, why, so many questions if I come up with a solution, but why not when you, coming up with the AI solution, question the same things. Why AI? Why? And that's an important thing. So, okay. So once we have figured out that this is the right business, we are going to be doing this, don't start everything from scratch. Even when you have the talent, you have the skills, leverage the ecosystem because it will help you move faster. Everybody right now is building towards it. It's not a solved problem. It's not that TensorFlow is there and it has all the capabilities. No. So they are also putting up a lot of force behind their frameworks and their infrastructures to make it better. So if you start building a framework from scratch, no matter how big you grow, you wouldn't have the same capacity as somebody which is coming out of the bigger companies. So see what you can leverage, what you can reuse, especially the data sets. It is very difficult to get clean label data sets. So whatever is available, if you can get it, definitely something to reuse and use it and basically modify it for your algorithms. I think this slide is kind of obvious, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. The other thing that I wanted to bring in, which I was saying earlier, was that building that whole infrastructure is an important thing. So you're leveraging some of those things, but how will that pipeline look for you? How will you take your solution to the customer? How are you going to learn more? How are you going to bring it back, make those adjustments, and do it at a fast pace is very important. I really think the way it is right now is that all the software principles that we used to have, the reuse, modular, sustaining, debugging, all of it needs to come very quickly to ML and AI. And I think because until unless you can do that, you are not going to be able to create a business out of it. So also the other thing which is, and I know I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to rush through it because I have one more important point, but the main point over here is the why question comes here a lot. If I come and tell my team, guys, this is how we will be doing it, and they will just tear me apart with like so many questions. Why? And I can't just tell them that because of my experience, because this is what I saw in my previous jobs, or this is what I did in my previous projects. That is just not an answer. So why are we comfortable if the AI gives you some answer and the only answer we can say based on the historical data, these are the features that I have learned and that is why it is? No. If you don't trust a human being who's working with you and giving you some experience, why do you have to? So really thinking on how do you bring that why out of your AI? Why is it giving me this answer? That will really help you figure out what is missing from your AI solution. What is the data that is missing? Which particular use cases it's not able to solve? Very important thing. So please make sure that if you can question other people in your team and your peers, question your AI algorithm. Why are you saying this? And that will definitely help you come up with a better solution. And the last thing that I want to say is for startups, it is important to see how you can partner with the bigger companies. And this is like in my own experience, and I'll give you 2 quick examples. Even in D-Loop, we were trying to use machine learning to find confidential documents. And when we would go to the customers, they would be like, whoa, what? Who are you? Why will I give you confidential documents? So I was like, okay. But at the same time, Box was entering the enterprise market, and they really needed a solution like that to bring their value out. And we needed people where we can get the credibility because they already had some customers. So to really, and I'm not saying that think through the lens of the bigger companies, but just keeping a viewpoint that what you are doing, how does it complement somebody else's solution that they are looking into that can really help you scale, go out to a completely different place is very important. Even as, there's another example. So like there was a friend of mine. They wanted to create security cameras in India for all the villages and they said there is no infrastructure, so it's kind of nice. We can put the camera there, we can monitor it and then figure out the security hazards. Who's going to let you just put security cameras all around India villages? You have to go through the government, you have to go through the local authorities, right? But now that company, when they partner with Tyco, which is already in this space and has a name and a credibility around it, it gives you a way to take your solution to something different. So thinking like that, figuring out who to connect to take your solutions to the next level is very important too. So I think that is my blip. The business, leveraging, infrastructure, and partnership. And that's just a small way. And I guess any other question and answers? Otherwise, that's what I have to say. Thank you. Any questions?
We have time for 2 questions.
2 questions? Okay. Yes.
So when we think about startups in the AI space, when testing the market and trying to find product market fit, do you think it's better to lead with like a minimum viable algorithm or to lead with a minimum viable product that has no AI?
Yeah. So the question is that when you are going out as an AI startup, do you start with a minimum viable algorithm or a minimal viable product? And I would say it's a combination of both. Like, don't spend too much time in the algorithm because I don't think that you can get a perfect algorithm before. Think about the product and the solution that you're solving. Even if you create a rule-based, the simplest algorithm ever, but get it out in the hands of the customers, see how they are reacting, and you can keep on making the algorithms better and better. So yes, it's a combination of both, I guess. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. ROI? Yeah, so I think one thing, like right now when I mentioned it, I think I was talking of ROI completely in the cost things, like how much you are spending and how much you are getting back. But I guess ROI in general is very different. Like some people would like to do it just because it gives them satisfaction to do something good for the humanity or like for Earth. Then in that case, the ROI is completely different. But basically so it depends on what is the main thing. But if you're talking in terms of business, the idea is the resources and the cost that you are spending and the profit that you will be making in the end or how you will be growing is the ROI, right? I'm not sure if that answered your question. Oh, how do you estimate it? It's a difficult problem and it depends. But I guess there are all these different formulas, but I'm not a finance person, so I'm not going to give you that. But I'm going to give you how as a person starting something will look at it. I'll definitely look at what people say is the total market, what percentage I feel will be using it, what percentage of this will actually, so an example I was just reading and maybe that will help you is like for WAG, right? Like how do they say what is their total market thing? So they'll say how many people have dogs. They'll start with that. Then they'll say how many of them walk outside. And then how many days do they have to walk? If they walk for 30 minutes, like what is the total number of thing? And then you will figure out a cost thing around it, right? Like how much are you gonna be charging and how much it will cost for you for a person to go from place to place to walk the dogs. And somehow you have to do those calculations. I don't think I'm the right person to give you that answer. Sorry. Okay. I'm told to stop, so I'll be stopping. Thank you.